Hey everybody, this is the Astral. Welcome back to the channel. I got a new show for you today. We're going to go over some of the UFO videos from the latest tranche. So it's the fifth one that just came out yesterday. And then also some news dropped and an interview dropped from Lue Elizondo. Looks like he's fitting into his new position. So we'll go over that and the interview that he just did on Fox News. So, you know, a lot happening in the last couple of days. You know, I don't think there was a real expectation that the tranche was coming yesterday, but, you know, it just seems to like creep up on at least me. I'll wake up in the morning and just kind of forget about it. And then when I'm scrolling around, people will start posting that it dropped. So exciting day. I think it always very interesting to go through it. I like going through it and just to kind of analyze some things. To be honest with you, I was more disappointed than others of this latest one, especially when it came to the videos. There weren't a lot of compelling, if at all, any videos that I think that really were impactful. And some of the videos had already been released before. So we'll go through and kind of break some of them down. I want to also show a little bit into Probed. Probed is someone in the community, developer, and someone who's helped me out with the UFO debates. I want to just show his website really quickly, and I'll probably reference his site some more in the future as well, because I think it's a really well put together and organized site that I've been using just for some references, some information to see what's been dropping on the latest news in the topic. So first, I want to go through and just say that I just dropped my new album. So not only did the tranche drop, but my new album, Neon Dreams, dropped on all streaming platforms. A little bit different sound. So I took a lot of these old songs that had this really specific sound and repurposed them and created a really whole album based off of that sound and some of the songs I really like. And so I just wanted to publish it and get it out there. A lot of what I'm doing is just trying to get out a lot of the songs, old stuff that I've been producing, fusing it with AI, working together, writing the songs myself, doing some songwriting, but just getting really active in the music that I've been posting out about, you know, astral projection, consciousness, all these themes, dreaming, that sort of thing, that I've been really producing music. I'm just really, you know, curling it up and finishing a lot of these songs that I've been just kind of hanging there and haven't really been finishing. It's one of the things that have been my biggest challenges is starting a lot of songs, but not necessarily finishing them. So I want to just post as much as I can, kind of motivating myself to get some of my music out there. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Send me some music, your music as well. I know we have a lot of creative people in the UFO community. I would love to hear what some other people are working on as well. All right. Let's get into what I think is a pretty big story. And I think a lot of the reason for some of this tension that's been happening recently. And that to me looks like Lue Elizondo is in his position. He's in the position in which he was moving across the country for. Some people are speculating that it's some sort of UFO Czar position. But, you know, right off the bat, he just looks like Darth Vader to me. That's why I got this title having to do with Darth Vader. Because if you look at it, you know, he just got, you know, he's all black. I think he's got this persona about him now that's working against it, you know, turning to the dark side. You know, him in this new position, I think is a lot of, seems to be the reason why UAP Gerb and Ross Coulthart have been speaking out about, you know, this controlled disclosure approach that Elizondo has been taking. And Elizondo has been steadfast in denying it. So he's been very defensive. A lot of weird activity again with Elizondo. There's this weird like Goonie activity that goes around him, and he doesn't necessarily address it at all. With a lot of the trolls and the stuff that happens, you know, kind of in his name, and when he gets these criticisms within the community, this time I think it's just bigger than he's going to be able to handle, because it's News Nation, which is the #1 news station, really the only news station that's consistently covered the UFO topic, especially since Grush, since they were really kind of the ones that were breaking the Grush story, along with Ross Coulthart and Bryce Sable. So It seems that Elizondo wants to be very forceful in defending his position that he's been authentic and genuine, coming out for disclosure, and has been for it the whole time. And this is basically all false information that's been put out by UAP Gerb and Ross Coulthart. So, but he also wants to kind of balance that line to say, News Nation is very important for getting the message out, for getting anyone's message out, or for, promoting your work to the latest of what you're doing. But right here, we've got the latest interview of Lue Elizondo. He's in Fox News. So I'll go ahead and bring that interview up. I think it's right here, and we'll take just a little bit. I'll stop it along the way, but we can take a look at it.
Edition of Hannity. Earlier today, another major UFO file was dropped and published by the Pentagon. This is the 5th batch of declassified UAP documents, including videos from some remarkable military encounters. In one incident over the Gulf of Oman, U.S. forces reported roughly 25 unidentified objects described as cold orbs, moving at speeds of up to 1,300 miles per hour. Another file details a military pilot's encounter of a massive silent triangular object over Afghanistan. This comes as Time magazine wrote that America is finally taking the possibility of extraterrestrial life seriously, pointing to congressional hearings.
I mean, the Time magazine article was cool. It was cool to see it out on the cover, but it wasn't really that great of an article, if I have to say so, for the Time magazine. In terms of really being on top of what's happening in the topic. But it wasn't, times are changing. Yeah, people are paying more attention to it. This is getting a lot of attention. But does that mean disclosure? I don't equate the two. With more publicity that the topic gets, that equals disclosure. And more people might be aware that this is happening, but I don't necessarily think that is the thing that's pushing disclosures. More people are aware that this is happening. But it was cool to say for the Times, yeah.
New disclosures and a growing number of military and intelligence officials willing to publicly discuss UAPs. Here now with more, UAP whistleblower and former director of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, Lue Elizondo. Lue, it's an
AKA the Darth Vader of disclosure.
Honor to talk to you. I love the age of disclosure. What do you make from this latest batch of materials that was dropped by the Pentagon?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. It's certainly my honor and privilege. Look, all I got to say, bottom line is the president is fulfilling a promise to the American people, and members of Congress are also helping with this process. And now the American people are finally able to learn what we knew, as a matter of fact, back in the Pentagon so many years ago. I mean, this is something that I think is going to take some time for some people to really kind of internalize and digest. But look, these things are real, and we've known they're real for decades.
Is it because we have more?
Right off the bat, he's in a professional studio, clean cut, got the American flag on. I feel like he's in the position already, whatever this position was that they were speculating. This feels like he's somewhere that's like a studio or an office that has a lot of things going on in the background. It looks clean. It's a good backdrop. I don't think it's fake. Like, I don't think it's a green screen. And so, this might be, to me, him in his first report, or his first task of reporting in the UFO Czar position or whatever. And I think he references it as well. But I just wanted to, right off the bat, I was like, oh, okay, it looks like he's already in this position.
Sophisticated detection capability and the ability to essentially videotape and watch them with the, improvements and all sorts of technology. Is that why we have more video readily available? And yeah, huge credit to Donald Trump for, as the president, releasing this information.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You know, it's a great question. And, there is a very real possibility, because we have better technology, we have more pervasiveness and more situation awareness of our airspace, that we are beginning to see these things, detect these things, and record these things. But there's also a possibility that the frequency of these occurrences is also increasing. There are two major, if you will, points of intersection regarding the UAP topic. One is water. For some reason, we see these UAP in and around areas of large bodies of water frequently, and also our military equities and our nuclear equities and technologies. And if you look at, for example, the Navy, let's say a carrier strike group, that's an awfully big nuclear footprint smack dab in the middle of the water. And that's exactly where we're seeing a lot of these UAPs.
Let's talk some more about that water, because at least some of the videos that I saw in the documentary, the idea that these things can dip in and out, and I think it was a Navy admiral talking about how little of our oceans are actually mapped and have been.
He's talking about Tim Gallaudet, and the ocean stuff is definitely interesting, but none of the evidence that has come out has been a lot about over what's above water, unfortunately. And they're showing the images, but they're not really talking about the tranches at all, like what just came out.
Surveilled. We seem to know more about the moon than we do our own oceans.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. The ocean is especially the deep parts of the ocean, is a very hostile environment where the temperatures are extremely cold and the pressures are almost unimaginable. And yet we have documented evidence that demonstrate definitively that these objects, whatever they are, these UAP, have the ability to also operate not just in our airspace and potentially in low Earth orbit, but also seemingly underwater without the normal performance compromises you might expect. So, for example, here on Earth, with our technologies, we do have these vehicles called transmedium vehicles. Think of a seaplane. It can fly and it can float. But let's face it, a seaplane is neither a very good airplane nor a good boat, because it's a design compromise. In essence, the more environments you want to work in, the more compromises you have to have. And in this case, we don't see that with these UAP. They seem to be able to operate seamlessly throughout all these domains and no compromise of performance.
What are the chances here, Lou, that this is just either spoofing or it's U.S. intelligence operating some things that maybe the rest of the military doesn't know about, or maybe it's the Chinese or the Russians? I mean, but there are attributes of these things that are just unexplainable, right?
Yeah, 100%. Great question. So let's look at that real quick and pull this back if we can. Some of these reports that President Trump is now releasing go back to the late 1950s.
Former director of ATIP. You see how they threw that down there? It's just so funny with all this stuff going on right there. They're like, yo, throw the former director of ATIP down there. Like, it's gonna... like, if you don't know anything about the UFO community, you're not gonna know what that means. And if you do know about it, you know that there's high controversy around that right now with Lue Elizondo, ALSAP, ATIP, all of that stuff. Which is funny they put it down there.
40s, early 1950s, and there's objects being tracked on radar that are going in excess of 5 times the speed of sound, what we call hypersonic velocity. Now, we had barely broken the sound barrier at that time. What nation on Earth, following in the footsteps of World War II, had the capabilities to have technology like that? Well, the United States was really the only superpower at the time. Russia hadn't yet invented the atomic bomb, and China was in the middle of a famine. So if there is a country out there that somehow for the last 80 years has managed to master this technology and deploy it over our own airspace, despite the billions of dollars that we invest into our intelligence community each year, this would be a national security concern eclipsing that of even 9/11. This would be a tremendous intelligence failure, which frankly, that's just not the case. Now, there are some technologies, very interesting technologies we have. I'm not going to talk about those technologies. Some of those remain very sensitive, very classified, but not all the things we are seeing in the sky are necessarily.
There's that NDA drop. You know, you can talk about it. Trump just said, come on in, talk about it. See, and that's an opportunity where he's like, you know what? I can't talk about it here publicly, but you know what I did do? I went in and I talked to everybody who I was supposed to, followed up with Eric Burleson. He said that it was safe, and I want to let everybody know that the information has been given. I'm going to double check back, right? Like this whole fear of either not going in or that it's some honeypot, it's like a trap, which you use the public revealing. That's the dead man switch, is if you're like, you know, if they don't do anything about this, I'm going to circle back and I'm just going to reveal it to the public. If they don't look into it and investigate this in a timely manner of how I think this should go down, of revealing the information to the public, I think you should leverage this in some sort of way. If you're coming in and you don't trust that they're going to investigate this, genuinely. All right, let's finish out the clip.
Our technology. And this is why now you have NASA and these other organizations coming out and having an honest conversation with the American people after decades of denial.
Last question for you, Lou. Look, President Trump, I think, is doing the right thing in releasing all of this. What would you like to personally see released that maybe the government has not yet shown?
Well, there's videos and reports that I had access to when I was at the Pentagon and we were working with the CIA and other organizations that frankly were in ultra high definition, really just knock your socks off. But that is really not, I think, for me, the most important thing. What I would like to see is a national intelligence estimate done by the DNI on an annual basis. Also have some sort of strategy for UAP. And when I say UAP, I mean also drones, right? Chinese spy balloons. There's a lot of stuff in our airspace we frankly don't have a handle on, and have some sort of national intelligence estimate, some sort of national strategy, and maybe even an individual, some sort of czar position that's responsible for our airspace. Interesting.
There it is at the very end. I was waiting for it because I heard the clip and about the czar position. He throws it in at the very end. And he's like, maybe even a person in control of the national security of our skies, a UFO czar position, somebody to advise the president on airspace security and making sure that China and Russia and drones and UAP and all of this stuff, it goes back to this threat narrative that I think is, there's two sides of it. I get it. I get that it's concerning. And it is essentially a threat in itself if we don't have control, 100% complete control over the U.S. skies. If there's things that are able to invade the airspace, fly around the U.S., absolutely. We need to be concerned about that. But to put someone in charge of that initiative right there, that is so deeply entrenched in the UFO topic, I don't think those two need to necessarily coincide with each other. Like the person who is in charge of the infrastructure to keep our skies safe, it doesn't necessarily have to do with UFOs or aliens at all. And I think they're trying to equate the two, where the experts in UAP or this alien or back engineered craft, legacy program, all of this stuff, which is like crash craft and back engineering technology, I don't know if that equates to like airspace security of the personnel who have been doing that. Like, who has been doing that in the position already? Are they UAP experts? Do they know about the UFO topic? Do they know how Puthoff is? Do they know who John Mack is? You know what I'm saying? So the knowledge of the person that's protecting us from our airspace may be different from a UFO expert, is kind of what I'm getting at. I don't know, maybe it is, but UFO czar, there he is, folks. I can only imagine what Gerb and Grush are thinking when they see this, that it's happening. This is it. And this is what I was kind of referring to, where it was like, it's too late. Like, it's too late to get him out. Last year he had the top selling UFO book in the world, and then he was in the #1 documentary that just came out, Age of Disclosure. He was the lead figure in it, and he's just established himself even more so than Stephen Greer. I'm working on a video of Stephen Greer. A decade ago, before that, it was Stephen Greer. Stephen Greer was the guy. But the last 9 years, 8 or 9 years, it's been Elizondo. Elizondo has been the number one name in the topic. And for everything to really come out against it now, it is concerned that it's a controlled narrative and we might not be getting the whole truth. It's just too late to me to bring that all to the table, to get everything to switch now, to get everything to change. And to be like, whoa, wait a minute, Trump. Wait a minute, guys, don't put him in this position. He's already moving. The position is gone. This was brought up. All of this was brought out publicly. And again, this was brought out way before that by people that have not as much of a voice as News Nation within the community years ago. I feel like people have been talking about this for years, especially on Spaces. I mean, we've been talking about, the people have been coming in. People have been on top of this, on top of the Lue Elizondo story and like his, the flags and his credibility. But publicly, to come out on News Nation and like in the official lane of promoting disclosure in UFOs to go out against Elizondo now is a big moment, but it just feels like it's a little too late. Like this all is coming out when Elizondo has essentially already taken the position. He's moving to Washington. He's making trips back and forth. He's talking about all this. And now once he's like, got all his stuff moved in, they're like, wait a minute, no, it's too late to me for any of that to come in and really make an impact and an effect, maybe down the road. But I don't see him like just getting into the position and then being like, well, everybody says you shouldn't have got the position. He's already in it. So I think he may have to make some mistakes within that position then for things to change from now. But I think some of the past stuff, if they would have already known about it, if it wasn't brought out publicly by more of like lower voices within the community, I just mean not much of a reach. If you've only got 50,000 followers and you're trying to make a big point of this, it's not nearly going to have the effect if you're going on News Nation and talking about this on behalf of the disclosure journalists and reporters that are on this. So we'll see how it shapes out with the position. We'll see how frequent Elizondo comes on to these platforms and represents. I think that at some point there's going to have to be some acknowledgement that he's in some sort of position where he's reporting on something or giving advisement or consultation to someone, of why he even took the position, left the Washington. Because you remember he had a bar. It was kind of like, I felt like he was on the way out. Like I was hoping he was on the way out as some other people were as well. And I think, coast out to retirement, go out, go out on your terms. But it seems like he's going back in. He's doubling down. He's trying to take a position of even a bigger authority in the topic to advise someone, even like the executive branch or the president himself. Kind of like when Grush was saying he was advising some of the past presidents, briefings, stuff like that. Maybe Elizondo's trying to get in a position, and especially now, they might be looking for someone like that, the information. And Elizondo seemed to me working it from a different route. He wasn't going through Burleson. He wasn't going through Grush. He was going through people like Donald Trump Jr. So it may be more of a relationship type of avenue where he's just mixing it up with the people who he needs to get in this position, instead of Grush and Burleson are going a little bit of a different route that may have expected their side to get put in this position, while Lue Elizondo was kind of directly competing against them. And I think that may be some of what has transpired of why there's so much beef now in between the two camps. All right, I want to go through just a couple of the videos of the UFO, the latest drop, and just some of the ones that I thought were interesting. There wasn't many, I'll be honest. And then a couple of the cases that I'll go over that, again, a lot of the stuff that when you dig into them and you start looking through some of the files and documents, a lot of it is the cases. It seems now there are cases that have coinciding videos. So like their videos go along with the case reports, which I can appreciate. It adds a little bit more context to what all of this is going on. although the videos never are very compelling, I think it adds to it when there's a case involved and there's witnesses and you get a little bit more detail of what actually was happening. And it's not just a video with redacted information and you don't know what was going on. So let me pull this one up. All right, so this, let me start from the beginning. We'll just kind of watch it through. I'll just make some comments as we go along here. But I mean, right off the bat, you're thinking, I hate to think this, but I'm thinking balloon. All right, it looks like kind of like a balloon. But then it's morphing a little bit. So, you know, whether it's shimmering from the sun, but it seems like it's not a complete structure, moving a little bit, altering. So that was the interesting part for me once it zoomed in. And even the lighting would be a little bit different. You get some of the light towards the camera as well. So right when here, let me see, right when it zooms in, like it just seems like it's like a blob, like a liquid blob at times. See, like it's some of the shape feels like it changes. So that was an interesting one, I feel like, for me. This is like this like tic tac shape. And maybe it could just be motion over this because you zoom out and it looks more circular. But even a balloon, right? Like balloon going by this vessel this quick, I don't think the balloon unless you're getting a parallax, right? Like parallax I don't know. You can't really tell by all of the redactions here, but I zoomed in on this. So if you zoom in like right here, it is tic tac shaped right here as it's going through. And so, and if it's motion, then it's traveling pretty quickly, you know, and this is a sphere that's traveling pretty quickly as it goes. They sort of zoom out and follow it. It'd be nice if it like jumped in the water or something, you know, the level of it changed and it just kind of hopped in the water. Speaking of hopping in the water, it doesn't really give a lot of details to this one. And the camera quality is horrible. You know, it's unrecognizable about anything. And if you were to look at this to best you can, it looks like the top half of this is in the sky, like right in the middle of this object. There's a line that goes through here that looks like it separates. This is the sky and this is water. This is what I would guess. Okay, like this is water, this is the sky, and this is this object that it's tracking. And does it go in the water? It could be an explanation for it. But the only thing is it doesn't come back out. So did it crash? Did it ever come back out? Is this where it comes out? You do kind of see that move down, but that's already been there. So I'm looking at where it could possibly be, and it looks like there's an object, you know, something right here, but it's just so bad of quality. That could be the shadow. That could be the shadow of it coming in and getting closer to the water, and then the shadow is coming closer because this object is going closer to the water, and then finally it lands and hits the water and goes in. That would be my prosaic explanation of that, is that this is some sort of object. This is the shadow of the object, that it's very zoomed in, and that it crashes into the water. But it does not come back out. That's what I was looking for. And I think overall, it's just, there's this other one, and there were 4 or 5 videos very similar to this. This one was probably the best one of them. And it just jumps around too much, whether or not that's the camera jumping around. I feel like it's the camera trying to track it. I don't know what these objects are either that are coming in and out of the screen. They're just, that to me feels like they zoomed. See, that's the object, but then something else two objects go shooting by. So I don't know if I first I thought it zoomed in. It was like tracking this object and then it zoomed in, but these are two different objects, and then these objects come back. So they're tracking one object and then two shoot by and then they shoot back. That, I don't know, that could be something, but it's so vague. And then they go back to tracking this object. So, and then there's these other things that are, I don't know what those are, like sensors that are trying to pick some things up. But to me, this first part, I was like, oh, what was that? When it kind of shoots by the screen and then it comes back. So I don't know if that's the camera. That maybe they're tracking some object and then this goes by and this is actually the camera moving up to try and catch it again, and they don't. So the camera shifts up to try and catch it again or to follow it, and it's so zoomed in that it's very difficult. So they try and transition the camera, shoot it back up, and they don't catch it, which is tough. I could feel the frustration of the cameramen in all of these. It's like the cameramen are extremely frustrated that they can't identify and follow some of these things, which is interesting. And again, it goes back to keeping track of things in our skies, us not being able to, and that's concerning. That's a threat in and itself. Yeah, you could say that. One of the frustrating things is now we've gotten to a point from that post I posted that, we've reached a point where official releases now include secondhand cell phone footage. So this is not something that's the official footage itself. This is a cell phone recording this footage. So this is a cell phone recording the video on a screen. That feels just leaking. That feels like leakage. That doesn't feel like real disclosure, like we're getting those files. So the fact that we're getting those videos is very strange to me, that we would get the cell phone recording of the screen, but we wouldn't be able to access the actual files. Doesn't that seem a little bit weird that we aren't able to get those actual files? And are the cell phones the best thing that we could acquire, or are the actual footage not available? Were they not able to discover it? Was it destroyed? I think adding context to why we get the cell phone footage and not the authentic footage, if they were investigating these cases, why couldn't they get the actual footage of it? Because if they're releasing it, they would have to confirmed it with something that it was real and authentic. They would have had to, did they find the footage? Did they miss it and find some other information that was the exact, case that was reported from this and where the footage came? I don't know. So it's just strange that we're getting cell phone footage and not the official video files that were recorded. All right, I mentioned Probed. Probed is a good friend of the show. Great guy that comes through and really helps me with the debates. Just picking his brain too on different things with development. He's developed this really great site that I want to go through. He made a summary, and a lot of what he does is just compiling a lot of the information that's out there into a much more digestible way, and also has some cool stuff on there, like some games you can play. So highly recommend. It's probed.space is the website. And so I just wanted to kind of go through and put together, and you can easily just click on these and go through, preview. They've got the sound there as well. So he's got a lot of the stuff. See. All right, so we'll go through. This is a video that I didn't show, but was one of the, again, I'm like balloon off the bat. I'm thinking balloon. It's terrible, but I'm thinking balloon right off the bat. But the color and then switching back was interesting. This was one of the clips, but it's like a spherical object. Just trying to track. And I think even one of the more frustrating parts is that the ones that we have great footage like this. Like you get this the context of everything else, the ground level, buildings, get a little bit more idea of size, even though you're not in proportion to how close the camera is or how close the object is to the ground. You get to see the scope of the movement. I think one of the disappointing things is we haven't seen any videos which are like this, further away, that give you a little bit more context and understanding of the movement that's happening. There haven't been any 5 observables. There haven't been any videos that something goes where it's got the whole thing. We've got videos where the camera's jockeying around and trying to follow the object, and stuff is happening and it's close up and there's jumping around, but we don't have any videos like far away where the object is zipping in and zipping out. Like even the one where the instantaneous acceleration, there's so much happening there. Like if you were able to zoom out and then it shot up the screen, now we're talking. But the zooming in and then the shakiness and the sensor changes, you got to have one that's zoomed out and you can see it clear as day what's going on with some of this stuff. I mean, it's good footage. Again, the background, you get context into what's going on. There's just not the 5 observables. Skeptics is too easily be like, it's a balloon. It's a balloon. It goes off the screen. It's good footage right there. That's probably one of the more interesting pieces of footage in the whole drop. But just, the cell phone, the cell phone stuff that we're looking at. Like when I first saw those, I was like, oh no, this isn't good. This isn't good. I don't think there's going to be a good reaction. But there were, all right, so let me bring up the 2 interesting cases that we'll cover real quick, because I think those, to me, caught my attention a little bit. These are the black triangle cases. So there's a few cases in which the black triangles were seen. One of them had the red lights. So if you check out the report that came along with it, so they give the links back and forth to the report. They talk about the instance itself in which witnesses are, in one of them, there's 2 witnesses that see these and are really observant in what they see. So they write down all of the different estimations that they have of how big the craft was, how far away it was, tried to compare it to a helicopter. So they were trying to be very observant. I think this is helpful. To me, this is very helpful in a case to understand a little bit more about what was going on, how the credibility of the witnesses, what they were seeing, their skills in estimating the distances, because I think the distance is very important. People can get very have a big misconception of the distances of how far away this is in the distance as compared to something else. So I think a lot of these are helpful. So that's why I wanted to post some of these. This is another sighting that somebody had of a triangle craft with 3 lights, 3 white lights that came along with it. So, and then this is the report that came along with it. The object had a car-sized white light. So car-sized white light in each of the 3 corners that diffused glow and were recessed a little bit. The object was low to the ground, creating a low humming noise that made a pulsing sound. Told him to take a video, but that time he got his phone out. The object has flown over the tree line and left. So, I guess they tried to record it, but they weren't able to. So thought the object may have been, and now here's the distance part, where they thought the object may have been 800 feet above the ground, and based on the dimensions of their environment, he estimated it was 200 feet long and 100 feet wide. But based off the calculations, could have been more of an isosceles triangle. See, it even goes into the exact shape. It wasn't an equilateral triangle. It was more of like a elongated isosceles triangle. Seeing somewhat in the middle that had a grayish graphite hue. pulsing lights as well. So look, all of this to me is very interesting. Like, to observe this for this long a period of time and take notes like this is important in context. I just wish this came with all of them. I wish this came with the videos. I wish this came with all of the cases that were out there. So I appreciate stuff like this. To go along with the information. And this is what I like digging into. This is what I like reading about, are these cases. And unfortunately, though, a lot of them have already come out. So a lot of these cases have already been released. So that to me was the most interesting part. I haven't really dug through a lot of the PDFs, the older PDFs yet. I haven't been too motivated to do that. The last couple of tranches have had a lot of these PDF files. I just haven't been able to dig through and go in detail a lot of this stuff. I may at some point, but I think initially a lot of the interest for me is just in these videos and some of these cases that have well documented witnesses, and some corroboration and evidence to go along with it. So we'll see if they improve. So far, I don't think they've been improving. I think they've been getting worse. And again, there's the Corbell crash retrieval evidence and non-human bodies, and he's got all this stuff that he supposedly is leveraging against it. Maybe that was a bluff, maybe it wasn't, but maybe somebody will just leak something. I think the videos, like whoever's got it, just go ahead and leak it, and let the community distribute and decipher and vet everything to where it's got to be, finessed and leveraged. And it's just, I don't know, man, it's just such a tricky situation. I really would just want to just post everything. I think everybody does, but we'll see if that happens. So thank you, everybody. That'll wrap up today's show. So the Darth Vader of ufology has taken his position with the Empire, which AKA, I guess, is controlled disclosure opposition at this point. So we will see if the Jedi and the Alliance, whatever you call it, the good guys in Star Wars, are going to prevail and make their next move. Well, the Empire is going to strike back. The Empire is striking back right now, man. This is what happened. In the Empire strike back. We need the return of the Jedi into this. We need the whistleblowers, a return of the Jedi. The whistleblowers come out. Catastrophic disclosure happens. It doesn't even matter what Lue Elizondo is doing. If we've got everybody a catastrophic disclosure, just giving all the goods, so that's what I'd like to see. Will we get it? I don't know. We'll see. Appreciate everybody coming out today. Working on a new video, couple things coming up. I'm going to have a live stream as well. Got spaces coming up, projects all over the place. So appreciate it. Check out my new album, Neon Dreams, out on all streaming platforms. Give it a listen. Give me some feedback. Like and share the channel. I'm on the goal to 1,000 subscribers in the next month. So I think I'm going to be able to get there. Appreciate everybody again. Have a good one. Peace.